Jai Hind, Jai Bharat, and welcome to Def Talks. This is Aadi. As you can see, I have with me Major General Prabdeep Singh. Sir, first of all, namaskar. Thank you so much, and welcome to the show. In trying to tell us what in the world is happening in this world, sir. Wars upon wars upon wars upon tensions and tensions and tensions. Where are we headed? So, welcome to the show, sir.
Good evening, Aadi. Good to be in the show once again. Yep, as you just mentioned, God knows what's happening, and deciphering all this is one heck of a difficult task. Uh, this was what has happened in Israel, and the Hamas attacking Israel is one of the non-expected things, and this is something which has shaken the world in a way that all of us who are studying geopolitics are kind of wondering as to where the world is headed for.
क्या हो रहा है? Hmm.
इनको हम इंटरेस्टिंग टाइम्स कहें या इनको हम difficult times कहें, but it's something of a challenge with the world today is grappling with. Now, three major hotspots, in my opinion. You've got Taiwan, which is always, at the back of everybody's mind. Then you've got Ukraine, which is today at the 596th day and not stopping. And of course, what you see, what's happening in Israel, Gaza, etc., is something which is a legacy of the past, which is continuing since 1947-48. So, where are we headed? Who are the players behind this? Who are the interested parties? What is the future? Now, these are some issues which all of us are grappling with, and we'll try and decode this today as we go along. Is Iran complicit in all this? Is the China hand evident? What interest does Russia have in fueling up this? Is it really involved? Where is Ukraine headed? Now, all of these questions are in everybody's mind, and I think we can discuss these one by one as you wish, Adi.
Sir,
Yeah.
सबसे पहले let me ask you, what is simple सा सवाल? It started, let's say, Ukraine से शुरू हुआ है. Azerbaijan, Armenia, something happened, and the tensions have gone up twice there. Kosovo, Serbia, something happened, tensions went up, didn't get into a shooting match. Israel का तो literally blow up है. It's a complete blow up. And इसके साथ we are also seeing that the Chinese are getting more and more aggressive. They've sent the highest number of aircraft in one shot, 103. Day for yesterday, they again sent some 25, 30 of them. So ये tensions are kind of, at coming to a peak. So what is the flow of events? There has to be some method to the madness, or are we just, as we discussed the last episode, just sleepwalking into World War III?
Yeah, actually, we are sleepwalking into World War III, and why I make this statement and I stand by that is there doesn't seem to be a very definitive path. No, nobody deliberately wants to get into a World War III. However, क्या हो रहा है कि जितने भी ये vested interested parties हैं, like you just take what Hamas has done to Israel. I mean, look at the timing of it. Look at आप इसको देख लो in the way they have kind of orchestrated this when the entire पूरी दुनिया की attention जो है यूक्रेन की तरफ है और इन्होंने सडनली ये कर दिया. नाउ ये एक डाइवर्शनरी टैक्टिक्स है, एक डाइवर्शन है टू इंश्योर के सऊदी अरेबिया Israel. You had a recent visit of an Israeli dignitary visiting Saudi Arabia. This for the first time after many, many years. I mean, you know that Saudi Arabia and Iran are also getting together. I mean, kind of trying to mend their ways through China's interference of mediation. So ये सब चीजें जो हैं कईयों को पसंद नहीं आ रही हैं, और इसमें दखल अंदाजी करना इन्होंने जरूरी समझा है, ताकि ये सब जो है ये ना हो. Now there are two schools of thought. One school of thought is, yeah, let's have peace prevailing. If you have been enemies all the while, today हमारी इंटरकनेक्टेड वर्ल्ड है. इंटरकनेक्टेड किसके साथ है? पैसे के साथ है. इट्स ऑल इकोनॉमी. ठीक है. So it is China's interest to have all the, to ensure that there is peace, so that उनका जो बेल्ट एंड रोड इनिशिएटिव है, जो भी है, वो कामयाब हो. दे हैव अ विजन फॉर देमसेल्व्स. तो उन्होंने उनकी तरफ से they have made attempts to have a rapprochement between countries which are otherwise inimical to each other. तो अगर ये सब देखा जाए, तो एक पार्टी है जो चाहती है कि ये सब इकोनॉमी देखी जाए. दूसरी पार्टी है इसके, यार ये हो गया तो ये हमारे आइडियल रिलीजन के अगेंस्ट हो रहा है, ये हमारे आइडियोलॉजी के अगेंस्ट हो रहा है. सो इट इज, आई थिंक, अ कॉन्फ्लिक्ट बिटवीन आइडियोलॉजी एंड इकोनॉमी, if I may just put it. It is, when you talk of democratic values, so it is again an ideology. When you talk of, you know, radical ideologies, no, that is also ideology. But at the same time, there are people who want to benefit economically out of it.
Hmm.
What is US's role in Ukraine? It's an economic role, if I may just put it. I mean, they are looking at the military-industrial complex. They are not bothered about how many lives are being lost. As it is, they are referring कि ये बहुत एक cheap तरीका है अपना aim achieve करने का. So, Ukraine के अंदर अगर without getting your own people killed, it is a very cheap way of achieving their
Fighting
aims.
war.
So it's again repeating a war between ideology and economy. So this is the whole game which is happening. जहाँ इकोनॉमी की तरफ कोई खींचता है एंड आइडियोलॉजी को साइड पे करता है, जो आइडियोलॉजिकल ब्रेन्स हैं वो बीच में आ जाती हैं, एंड देन ऑल दिस हैपेंस. नाउ यूक्रेन की लड़ाई जो है ये खत्म होती नजर तो आ नहीं रही, because people have already talked, there's the countries are talking, we'll deliver F-16 in 2024, we'll deliver F-16s in 2025. Now, if this is the kind of a vision for a particular war to continue, you plan for 2024 and you plan for 2025, that means the end of the battle or the end of the war is not in sight. Now, creating such kind of distractions, what Hamas has done to Israel, is it diversionary? अगर डाइवर्जनरी है तो ये कौन है इसके पीछे,
वो भी इस
किसका
तरह
हाथ
से.
है, और वो भी इस तरह. वो इतना बुरी तरह किया कि अभी अमेरिका इज काइंड ऑफ डजंट नो वेयर टू वे, आई मीन व्हाट वेयर टू गो. while NATO की स्टेटमेंट है कि we are with Ukraine all the while, but as far as US is concerned, Israel is much bigger priority. That is why that carrier group, Ford, Grader or Ford, that carrier group has been moved to the Mediterranean. So, and Israelis also, though they were neutral in this war, they failed to condemn Russia, they failed to condemn anybody, they did not take part in the sanctions, because Russia-Israeli relations have also improved. Again, why have they improved? Technology exchange and economy. When you talk of technology exchange, it's all about economy. So for economic reasons, the relations between Russia and Israel have been good. Now, Russian Iranian relations have also been good, are getting better. So you see how a interlinked web is getting created. Saudi Arabia getting closer to Iran. Russia is close to Iran, right? China is close to Iran. China is silent or is diplomatic in its comments as far as this Hamas
Hmm.
attack is concerned. They have not condemned Hamas. They've only made a statement. इन्होंने कहा है कि भाई सिविलियंस की कैजुअलिटीज, अटैक्स ऑन सिविलियंस नहीं होने चाहिए. तो अगर ऐसे चलता रहा तो ये इंटरकनेक्टेड सी लड़ाइयाँ बन रही हैं. छोटी छोटी लड़ाइयाँ जो हैं ये इंटरकनेक्ट होके एक बड़ी लड़ाई की तरफ बढ़ रही हैं. एंड दैट इज व्हेन वी से कि वी आर स्लीप वॉकिंग इनटू. अगर अगर अभी इसमें यूनाइटेड नेशंस का नाम कहीं सुनाई नहीं देता. मैं हमेशा आई बीन रिपीटेडली टॉकिंग अबाउट इट. यूनाइटेड नेशंस का अभी जो भी इमरजेंसी सेशन हुआ है उसमें रशिया एंड चाइना played it down and said that civilian casualties should not be avoided at all costs. So United Nations is appearing to be a defunct organization in this entire game. Russia has vested interest, China has vested interest, America has got vested interest. तो रह कौन गया? फ्रांस एंड यूके, उनकी तो कुछ सुना आज आज की तारीख में उनका कोई रेलेवेंस है ही नहीं. एज फार एज द सिक्योरिटी काउंसिल इज, P5 में फ्रांस और यूके का कोई रेलेवेंस तो रहा ही नहीं है.
Correct.
तो ईयू का भी रेलेवेंस कम होते जा रहा है, नेटो का रेलेवेंस कम हो रहा है. तो आगे क्या हो रहा है? आगे when it comes, it is becoming highly multipolar. When you connect the dots, you can see here I person or country A is friends with say Russia is friendly with Iran, Russia is friendly with Israel, but Israel and Iran don't see eye to eye. So this is what multipolarity is all about.
Hmm.
तो ये सब complicated हो रहा है, and knowingly unknowingly we are walking into a bigger kind of a conflagration which may take place. Imagine abhi America is there in the American carrier group is there in the Mediterranean.
Hmm.
Now, what could happen in this particular time is that in the Mediterranean, if they've got the special forces on board. If there are certain there is a, as we are aware, there are about 150 hostages with the Hamas. If the Americans jump into the fray and try to kind of get these guys released by force, by military operations, uh, willy nilly, America is a part of the war. Though Israel has said that has told the Americans to stay clear of all this because this is apparently our war. Now, if they jump in, you can just imagine कि क्या होने वाला है आगे.
But the
You
special forces are on the ground, sir.
Yeah, they're on the ground, but all these for hostage crisis and all that. These troops are in the Mediterranean, that in the carrier group. They're on
Hmm.
board the carrier group for waiting for the go ahead. So if they get involved, bas khatam. Now we are into a different. At the same time, there is lobbying against Iran, which is quite a few of these power hungry and warmongering senators which are there in the United States. They want Iran to be kind of attacked, and they say that Iran is involved and Iran is behind this. So if that kind of a thing happens, so God forbid, we are in deep trouble. World War III is on.
Sir, now
Or
one thing, let's
yeah.
let's take China पहले.
Hmm.
And China connected with Ukraine war situation. अगर आप देखिए अभी जो भी कह लीजिए, Ukraine war, as you said, is not ending. And forever war is not in Russia's interest now. हो गया time that Russia needs to finish this. And this is a common feeling that I think बहुत सारे Russians भी बोल रहे हैं यार बस let's now be done with this. It's hanging on too long. China's role with Hamas is coming out pretty clearly, sir. I kind of tried to join the dots. मैंने दिखाया क्या क्या weapons आ रहे हैं China से and this and that. And there are certain Chinese dissidents who are actually claiming that there was quite a bit direct contact between the CCP and the Hamas. So, if let's say the Chinese have pushed this, I mean, Chinese through Iran has pushed this. What do you think is happening, going to happen? Because people will realize it, I'm sure.
You see, if all this is true, firstly, let me just put it this way: Chinese weapons have always been in the hands of terrorists. No, no, why are we going very far? Our northeast, the weapons are coming in from China. I remember Ulfa Paresh Barwa, getting all his weapons all the way from. There's a place called Ruili. He was generally floating around Ruili at the border crossing between Myanmar and China, and weapons were being procured by them. When you look at the Kachin, all the rebels taking place, all that happening in Myanmar, where are the weapons coming from? They're coming from China. So to say that Chinese weapons are not being made available to the terrorists would be wrong, because A, they are cheaply available, B, it's all about economics again, and they couldn't care a damn. As long as somebody is buying weapons, Norinco and all that, weapons are being bought, they are being used. Now, whether CCP is directly involved is something that will have to be really seen and established. Because until unless it gets established, you can't really point a finger at the government per se. Availability of weapons is a different story, but direct supply makes them absolutely part of the bigger picture. Now, if that is there, then trust you me, if that comes out, and which it, nothing remains hidden, it comes out
Hmm.
sooner or later. And if that is the case, China through Iran trying to finger the daylights out of Israel for reasons which are, you know, in the interest of China to put down the United States
Yes.
and the Europeans, there is going to be a lot and lot of trouble. I kind of do not subscribe to this at the moment, until unless one is really, seen a good hand, definitive theory on this. Yes, why the timing of this? I mean, I'm looking at the timing of this. The world is, as it is, a crazy place at the moment. So, and as you mentioned, flare-ups have been triggered. Azerbaijan, Armenia, Kosovo, Serbia, Kosovo,
Serbia.
So all these problems, old problems, have been revived in the last couple of months. Why? And that also some have subsided. Some have subsided. Some remain contained. But this one was massive. तो ये क्या हो रहा है, क्यों हो रहा है? ये इसलिए हो रहा है कि वर्ल्ड में खाली यूक्रेन नहीं है, इसको यूक्रेन से सारे को डिस्ट्रैक्ट करो, सबको डिस्ट्रैक्ट करो और बताओ कि भैया देयर आर अदर वॉर्स आल्सो टेकिंग प्लेस नाउ, like Israeli attack on the Syrian airports today,
Aleppo and Damascus.
Aleppo and
Mhm.
Damascus. Now that is again with a view to stop the Iranian supplies from coming in into Syria. So ये सब, it's building up to a narrative, I think, in favor of Russia. You now have made a statement which is in favor of Russia.
Resurgent power, are you trying to say, sir?
Yes, sir. You this is a resurgence now for a simple reason. You call it resurgence, or you call it a bailing out of Russia from the Ukraine mess. You now, I made a statement which is again a very uh, difficult, not so difficult one to comprehend. Now,
My next question is going to be already telling you to dig into this a little further. But anyways, please go on, sir.
no, I'm देखो, simple सी बात है. there is an endless supply of equipment and arms and equipment coming in and money coming into Ukraine,
जी.
right? Endless. They have said we are there with you for times to come. So war is not going to end. Russia is focused on a bigger war. I mean, it has to keep up its sleeve, its arsenal for a bigger war, right? Now, to commit everything, they would be forced to commit most of its armed forces and its wherewithal into Ukraine if they really want to uh, achieve a decisive result, a
Hmm.
decisive victory. Okay. To achieve a decisive victory with a low cost decisive victory, if I may just put it, then there is a need to distract that equipment, that ammunition which is flowing into Ukraine into other areas. The other areas being whenever uh, there is a war elsewhere, the diversion takes place, money gets diverted, resources get diverted, and as far as and who is the closest to the United States? The closest to the United States is Israel. And if you create a problem there, or if it is created Russia, China, through Iran, through whichever way, you see the energy which is going to get diverted towards this particular part of the world, thereby giving Russia an easy run to achieve its war aims. So, in my reading, it is engineered at that particular level, and and nothing short of that. Yeah. What's your next
Who's the
question then?
brain behind this, sir?
What's
Who's
the
the
brain behind
brain
this?
behind this?
With
Hmm.
the brain behind this is the intelligence community, which is working how to deal with such
Play the game.
situation. Yeah, I mean, it's you, you think you can sort me out, let me sort you out in the other way. I mean, you think I'm smart, I'm sorry, I'm smart. You think you are smart, I'm sorry, I'm smarter than you. That kind of a principle, you know. You scratch my back, I scratch yours. So,
That's what I'm thinking is happening between the West and Russia right now, sir. पता नहीं क्यों.
yeah. So the you see, there is no other logic. As far as Hamas, as far as, of course, there's always been tension. So there's nothing very new between the Hamas and Israelis, Palestinians, Israelis. But Israel has been forthcoming all the while and accommodating them. After all, every day large number of Palestinians, thousands of Palestinians would come into Israel to work from the Gaza Strip. So all those concessions were existing. Why spoil the environment when things are, I would say, 80% okay? I wouldn't say 100% okay, but 80% or 70% okay. Why spoil the environment to a situation where it comes back to zero?
Hmm.
That too suddenly. And when people say, there are a lot of criticism is Israeli saying that इनका intelligence नहीं था, इनका क्या हो गया, complacent हो गए, government to blame everything. Obviously, because they had kind of thought कि हमने इनको इतना दे दिया, सिस्टम जो है अच्छा काम कर रहा है, there is kind of peace existing along the borders, so let it carry on. They never expected that these guys will do something like this. So obviously they've been caught with their pants down, but I think it's a big betrayal on their trust, if I may put it the other way. तो अभी इस टाइम में कौन कराएगा, क्यों कराएगा, कोई मतलब से कराएगा ना भाई. तो मतलब क्या है? मतलब यही है, रिलीफ प्रेशर ऑन द यूक्रेनियन फ्रंट. एंड कैसे होगा, ऐसे ही होगा. अब एक कैरियर ग्रुप तुमने डाल दिया मेडिटेरेनियन में. So just I'm just trying to paint you a picture. One carrier group is now in the Mediterranean trying to kind of deal with this situation. So that means one carrier group less against China and one carrier group less against Russia if required. Some, you understand. So the diversion has already taken place. Don't be surprised. I mean, don't be surprised in the next couple of months you have something happening in Taiwan. Just don't be surprised.
You're
The moment,
basically snipping China's clips all over the place and then going and squeezing in. Pakistan is pocketed. Iran, you're saying, is gonna. My next question is that, and you've pretty much said what is the hint. Russia has handled. You snipped off the Middle East, whatever little influence he had. Everybody's सारे आके वापस अमेरिका की गोदी में जाके बैठ गए हैं लोग. Now he's left alone. Is
yeah,
that what you're hinting at, sir?
who's left alone? Sorry,
China.
China is always alone. He knows that he's fighting alone. When did China believe that they had the world along going along with them? They know that the only way they have the world with them is through money, and that is what they have been doing.
That also they
And
don't have anymore.
yeah, so what is happening tomorrow? As an act of desperation, a situation will be built up wherein, you see, if if uh, if I have to do something funny, this is the right time to do it. No,
Or make someone do it.
no, make someone do where Taiwan. Nobody. Taiwan is my baby. I have to do it. Nobody else is going to do it on my behalf.
Mm.
But
Okay.
I can definitely draw everybody's attention to the rest of the world. I can divert the resources. Yeah, look at this. The European economy is in doldrums. The
Mm.
American economy is also somewhere, going down. It is already down. Canada is like of kind of on the brink of collapse, right? Now, when NATO countries, EU, the EU is basically NATO, and all this thing is happening when the economy of the rest of the world is down, when no arms and equipment, spare arms and equipment are available because everything has been fed into Ukraine. Ammunition is not available. So when ammunition is in short supply, agreed, the United States would still be retaining its first line and second line reserves, but whatever were their extras, the extras have all gone. Now you create a situation, you divert a carrier group, and a carrier group means there's a lot of special forces, marines, which are on board that carrier group. It's not that just the naval ship going around. It's loaded with troops as well. So your intelligence means have also been diverted. Your satellite imageries, your electronic intelligence resources, your air defense resources, everything gets diverted. Sooner, and now maybe you create Iran. You create a condition, you engineer a condition wherein everything, the blame comes onto Iran being a proxy of China at the moment, supposedly, and Iran gets badgered or hammered. I mean, China is free to do what it wants to do. I'm just building up a case for China.
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely, absolutely.
situation is very ripe.
Mm.
You create a situation in Iran wherein the United States, there's a lobby which is paid a lobby. You pay that lobby and tell them Iran is the culprit behind all this, and Iran, the diversion I mean, the entire resources get diverted to Iran. Iran gets battered, and China coolly does what it wants to do in Taiwan.
Interesting.
And
Let's.
it's a board game, chess game.
It is. It is. There's that Chinese game called Weiqi. You know.
Yeah, very cheap. Yeah, the
So
stones. Hmm.
just on this. So I want to ask you about Iran before I come to the conclusion as to saying what finally picture is the picture that you would like to paint for us in terms of the world. Iran ka you were saying target. Now how very near are we to realizing that Iran is next on the menu?
You see, it has been on the horizon for a very long time.
Absolutely.
Hmm.
After 9/11.
After 9/11, I mean, the entire thing, the only thing stopping the United States to, entering into this thing with a war with Iran has been the threat which Iran has been posing because of its nuclear. You know, though non-declared, uh, but everybody does believe that they are in possession of nuclear weapons.
Yeah.
Their missiles, the missile technology, they have displayed it and they have openly talked about it. So these are the deterrent part of it has actually been working all these days and kind of uh, keeping the United States from entering Iran. I mean, the entire Arab, the Middle East countries which have been against the United States have been targeted one by one. Iran is the only country left as of today, right? When it comes to UAE, nothing's going to happen to UAE. Saudi, nothing's going to happen to Saudi. Nothing's going to happen to Qatar. Nothing's going to happen to Oman because the United States has got their bases all over, right? Now, when it comes to the rest of the world, rest of the Arab world, they've been battered. They've been had one by one, and wars have been fought. Their economies have been destroyed. So Iran is standing uh, alone, and for trying to has been able to ward them off till date. But then there is another lobby which wants to get involved there, right? So it is not that there is a lobby which says no, let's not get into Iran. There is a lobby which says no, Iran, 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 Iran. The main culprit is Iran. And if you connect it with what has happened and what Hamas has done, and if there is the linkage fully established, then the United States government may be forced to take action against Iran, not for any other reason but to appease its own public, right? And once that happens, uh, we you know where we are headed. And when a war like this would break out, there'll be a greater war where China will think in terms of its own interests. Now, Iran, they've already been trying to complicate China with involve the affairs of Iran supplying weapons to Russia, right? The drones, etc., and technology being going into Russia, the weapons, the ammunition being provided. So basically, grounds have been built up. I've been talking about it. I spoke about it maybe 4, 5, 6 weeks back when I said Iran is the next. So grounds are being built over a period of time to take on Iran. So if Iran is very cautious, uh, until unless it is not cautious, there's going to be a big problem, and that's going to be the trigger for the next big war.
So I want to okay, that's fair and kind of makes a lot of sense. But I want to kind of figure out Iran. We've kind of discussed now. What is the USA's backup plans here?
It doesn't have a backup plan. United States is in a bind. US is headed for elections. It's committed far amount of money equipment to Ukraine. It has its main enemy is China. Now it is getting, I mean, the resources are getting diverted. So where is the backup? I mean, where does it come up with a backup plan? Now that is the sole aim of the I would say the red quad, if I may just coin a word phrase. You have Russia, China, Iran, and North Korea. They gang up together. That's the very aim of the red quad, to kind of, you know, piecemeal or divert the American resources to various spots. So where is the backup coming from? Russia, the Americans are in a big bind, and if they're not very careful, they are going to be in deep trouble. You talk of economy, you talk of de-dollarization, and you talk of equipment, you talk of military industrial complex. Fine, but how long can it sustain? Is it able to produce that much? So backup plan, I think serious policy makers in the United States must be really thinking very hard.
So two
Yep,
short questions. So one, was Ukraine the biggest mistake in their game?
definitely,
That is one. And
definitely.
two is, how do you see now the game with China? What is going to be the strategy for China, sir?
Ukraine, 100% a big mistake. You see, this was, I think, in a very immature kind of a decision, and underestimation of the Russian capability on the part of the United States, MI6, CIA, and the NATO forces. I think they got over enthusiastic and got involved in something which could have been avoided, and that perhaps would have been the best for the peace in the world. So they thought it was going to be a cakewalk, which did not happen. So they underestimated Russia. So that's why. Now, as far as dealing with China is concerned, uh, how does the US do it? US has its, Indo-Pacific Command, which is totally dedicated in this part of the world, right? And ideally, that Indo-Pacific Command is totally equipped to take on China, or to take on any mischief by China. So those resources are not going to get diverted. And what happens in a situation like this is, like, you have the CENTCOM, Central Command, and then you have the AFRICOM. So as far as the CENTCOM is concerned, that would be focused into what is happening now in the areas and the carrier group and all, which is moving. And subsequently, if they have to divert resources, they will divert resources from the African Command towards the Indo-Pacific Command. And as long as they are not interfered with en route, which I doubt they will be, they will have adequate forces. However, that is as far as the military part of it. But the these things, these commands today are based on very traditional, conventional wars. I'm just now listen to this. These are all structured for conventional wars, classic, classic wars. But today, the dynamics of the warfare has totally changed when it comes to drones and when it comes to rockets and missiles. Is Are these commands, are the Americans geared up to the degree to deal with China in these aspects? That is in the not in the I would say in the non-contact domain. Is the United States geared up to deal with China, because China is very well geared up. The PLA rocket force, the inventory is huge, right? Now, but are the Americans, are the Indo-Pacific Command, is the African Command, or the Central Command, they all geared up to deal with the new type of warfare which is erupting? That is the question. And if they are, well and good. If they are not, they are in deep trouble, because all these carrier groups on the battlefields, the battleships, they'll be taken on. They're easy targets. They're easy targets. You see what the Hamas has done? How they have overwhelmed the Iron Dome. So if a terrorist organization can overwhelm an Iron Dome, I'm sure a country like China can definitely overwhelm the American air defense systems. So this is something that the Americans would be looking at it very closely, and well, let's see as to what they go about doing it, because they'll be careful. They must be carefully watching what's happening in Taiwan, and at least taking a stock of their combat power. Yeah,
Last question, sir. What's India's game?
India's game. India's game, as always, remain neutral. Keep watching. And India's great friends with Israel. India's great friends with, uh, I think, everybody. It's great friends with Russia. It's great friends with America. It's great friends with, I think, other than Canada and Pakistan, that we have friends with everybody else in the world. And we'll be watching. We definitely will not be taking sides, because as far, we are proponents of the fact that there should be peace in the world, and and it should be a just world. There should be justice prevailing, and there should be balance of power and balance of opinion all over. And yes, at the same time, my big worry is that we must not get complacent also, because today India is itself a recognized kind of a power, if not militarily number one or two, but diplomatically it is, and economically it's a very rising, major rising power. And countries inimical could trigger off something which may get us involved in something bigger, and force us to take actions. And so complacency must not set in, whether it is on the political front or diplomatic front or on the military front. And that is, it should serve as a wake up call, and it should also serve as a kind of uh, a nudge to review our security and to review our plans, which I'm sure is happening, because I know my friends in Delhi would be at it. They're all very competent people, and we should not be caught with our pants down. We mustn't let another Kargil happen. And that is all that I would like to say as far as India is concerned. Because a possibility of dragging India into a kind of a situation, in my opinion, in my very personal opinion, exists. Shararat. So, a shararat from across the border, either northern or western, uh, will kind of may get things out of control and may harm us. So, complacency must not set in.
So you're basically saying now the story will slowly shift to Iran unless and until things settle down with Israel over there.
Yes,
They are already.
I've always been saying Iran's next, and it's a build up for Iran.
We live in very complicated times, so that's all I would say. That's thank you for that wonderful summation of the world, sir, because past few days we've been talking about Israel from all different angles, and I'm sure we'll be talking about that going forward also. That's the next war that is changing the world. Uh, you and I were of the firm belief that Ukraine war has changed the world. I think now the world is further changing with the Israel war. तो भाई दुनिया बदल रही है भाइयों बहनों.
हाँ, दुनिया
थोड़ी
बदल
नजर
रही
रखो.
है, बट ट्रिगर तो यूक्रेन ही रहेगा. तो
ट्रिगर
इट
इज
इज
यूक्रेन.
यूक्रेन के कारण ये सब हो रहा है.
Hmm.
एंड दिस इज ऑल अ मैनिफेस्टेशन ऑफ द यूक्रेन वॉर.
Plus,
एंड
the biggest threat I see is the weakness of China, sir. Day by day, it's losing that financial ability, and that desperation within Xi Jinping could manifest at any time.
वही है ना, डेस्परेशन डेस्परेशन ही तो है जो इसको जो मैनिफेस्ट कर रही है. और वो डेस्परेशन दोनों मिलकर, वो जो डेस्परेशन है उसको दोनों मिलकर ऐसी सिचुएशन बनाएंगे कि आफ्टर ऑल दे हैव टू प्रूव देमसेल्व्स. China has to
जी.
prove itself to its own people. So has Russia got to prove its own self to its own people. It's a very I think a very well collaborated effort on their part to divert attention of the world.
Let's see, sir. Let's see who has the last laugh and who's got the proverbial बोलते हैं ना ट्रम्प कार्ड किसके पास है. डोनाल्ड ट्रम्प के पास है कि कोई और ट्रम्प कार्ड किसी और के पास
नहीं,
लेके बैठा.
डोनाल्ड ट्रंप के पास ही है.
That's why I said
ट्रस्ट
it,
यू.
sir.
द ट्रम्प कार्ड इज विद डोनाल्ड ट्रंप.
That guy is the only one today. He could
दैट.
sort out stuff.
हाँ, because he is the one who, I like that man for a simple reason that he had the he's always had the guts to walk up to his enemy and shake hands with the enemy.
Straight shooter है बंदा, sir.
Huh. So he goes and talks. He says, "Yeah, economically, it doesn't work well for that. Let's do business. What do you want? Okay, you want this? Give and take." I mean, he's a businessman, and he deals his hand very clearly. I mean, he knows how to go about doing business with people. He knows the art of negotiation. Yeah, that's why he's a
That's
successful businessman.
honestly, I call Modi Saab the CEO of India.
Yeah,
Modi
you
Saab
you
is like
got
that.
yeah
He
you got to
deals like a CEO. He thinks like that, you know. So
no you got to think like a leader. CEO is a leader. You got to see what is beneficial for you. When I say for you as a nation,
the
not as an
organization.
individual. So
Yeah.
so does Donald Trump think that. No, you got Biden who's nearly bedridden, and you got Blinken with blinkers. So how can you operate?
And Vicky
Right?
Noodle offensive. Vicky's offensive
Yeah, I mean, sad.
that she was
So
planning for 6 months.
no, this you need uh, Donald Trump here to stop all this nonsense.
Yeah.
And, and trust you me, it'll take him 3 months to stop all this. He will just come and say, "Let me just put an end to all this." That- I mean, you got to have something about you. People trying to take you to prison, and yet you have the gumption to take on everybody.
Yeah. So Americans, if any watching here, I know there are few, vote wisely. And Indians, vote further wisely. Because the stake of the world is literally hanging in the balance, if I may say this. I think that's not a very overrated statement, sir. It's a very right statement that the two biggest democracies in the world need to get their heads into the game. The
Yeah,
people need to
absolutely.
understand that boss, अगर आप लोग ठीक से काम नहीं करोगे तो दुनिया
कोई आपको छोड़ने वाली नहीं है.
not much will be left. So I think a point well brought out, sir. Thank you so much. Let's get into some questions, guys. But before that, my request is everybody like the video as hard as you can. It's just a touch of the screen of that thumbs up sign below. Please like the video, subscribe, and spread the word. That's the most important thing. That's what We will keep producing the shows. We will keep talking about various different issues. Your job is just to push it out there and tell people about it. Thank you so much for doing that till now, and it's wonderful to have all your support. You can contribute directly towards me through the QR code up above, or become members, or send us super stickers or super chats. Let's see, sir. A viral Pundir, he says, thank you so much, firstly. And he says, US visit POK. US in Bharat say do not meet locals. Pakistan say out to Afghans. Is Kashmir Jihad 2.0 cooking? Is Bharat on the target after Israel? Not from the
Good one.
US.
Nah, I mean, you know, I made a statement, Shararat. Now, that is what I meant.
Yes, sir.
So, you see, there is desperation on the other side, on the Pakistani side. And a desperate person can do anything stupid. I mean, it doesn't affect them at all because he's desperate. He knows he's dying in any case. He's drowning. He's a sinking ship. So uh, that's why I said India's got to be careful. Is Bharat on target after Israel? You never know. And I made the statement very, very candidly, saying that today you are a rising power, uh, and this is not being tolerated by many, especially in our neighborhood. So when it is not being tolerated, it is not being accepted. Uh, there is bound to be some shararat, some mischief, which may erupt, and that's where I said we got to be very, very watchful.
Thank you, sir, for that. Mind Waves, thank you so much for that contribution. He says, world went from multipolarity to bipolar to unipolar to multipolar. Wow, that's a mouthful. Last time the world was multipolar, it led to world wars. Is there any chance of this current geopolitical situation escalating into a world war? I think you've answered that, but anything else that you'd like to add, sir?
Yeah, that's what when you say a multipolar world, uh, it's better to have a bipolar world when you know you are definite two sets of mindsets. In a multipolar world, everybody is confused as to where they ought to be. So they are looking at their own interests. When everybody is looking at their own interest, the the interest of the world at large kind of, in my opinion, gets dissipated. And what today the situation is, and we have discussed it, is generally heading towards a world war. We are definitely walking into sleepwalking into a world war. I would say the sleepwalking is going into knowingly getting into a world war. You understand? Knowingly. I mean, knowing very well that if such a situation happens, there'll be an outbreak of a world war. So there's no sleepwalking. There is a knowing. Uh, we know about it that such actions can lead to a greater war. So it's a kind of a conscious sleepwalk.
So Rahul, thank you so much. He says, do top positions in the armed forces in India should be headed by people from intelligence agencies after the Israel debacle?
No, it's not like that. You know, there
There's
is
a lot
nothing
of
called.
factors.
No, let's get it right. There's nothing called intelligence agencies, and uh, the top position in the armed forces are held by commanders, right? And when you plan an operation or when you are a commander of any force, no, I will just tell you, intelligence comes first. So I've been an operational commander and operations man, but I've also dealt with intelligence because without intelligence, you cannot conduct operations. So pehle intelligence, फिर operations, because the operations are planned based out of intelligence. So these work together. Now, when you are talking about int agencies, nobody is leading the armed forces. The int corps is not leading the armed forces. It's the combat arms officers who are leading, general cadre officers who are leading the armed forces. But without intelligence, you can't move, because if you do not have good intelligence, the acumen lies not in having intelligence, but in the ability to interpret and analyze the intelligence and then frame your operational plans according to that. And I think we've got people on top who are very, very apt and competent.
Indeed, sir. Full Metal Heart. Thank you so much for your contribution. He says, sir, the world is not at a point where everything is highly controlled, with a choice of top powerful countries to start and stop a war to their benefit. Your opinion on India's strength in this group? Damn good question.
World is not at a point where everything is highly controlled with a choice of power. Yeah, it's not a choice of powerful countries, but definitely it is the influence of the powerful countries. Now, every country today is looking at uh, power, and power is not in terms of physical power, it is in terms of economic power. It's all economics. And influence can only take place when you have paisa. Paisa ka bagair, you cannot do anything. You can have all the muscle in the world, but without money, you're not headed anywhere. So, as far as powerful countries are concerned, China cannot dictate terms to India. China China may be able to dictate terms to a smaller African nation, but or to Pakistan, which is a dying nation. But definitely, it cannot influence India. When it comes to the United States, also, trust you me, we do not bend easily to the United States. Uh, every decision made by the government of India is on case to case basis, considering the strategic interests of India in mind. So at times you oppose, at times you go ahead. That is how we are maintaining a strategic that's what we're maintaining a strategic autonomy. Sometimes we are with China, sometimes with Russia, sometimes we are with the United States, and it all depends on the issue at hand. So India does not get influenced very easily, and you we as Indians ought to be very proud of this very fact. Yeah.
Asin Sana, if I'm spelling your name right. Don't you think the Anglo-Saxon countries are behind all these wars because they don't want to slip the power from their hands? This is the flip
They
side of
don't
what you're saying.
Yeah, I mean, when it comes to the Anglo-Saxon countries, today people have started showing eyes. I mean, Africa is questioning them. The South, the global South is questioning their very much them very badly. And as you said, they don't want to see their power slipping out of the hand. Yes, definitely to an extent, but it is all this is happening is their own creation. If they had been just, if they had been correct in their dealings, if they had not been high-headed, high-handed, such a situation would not have arisen. So obviously, to retain power, to retain what do you call a superior kind of standing in society in the world, yeah, I do agree to you with you to a great extent on this score. Yes.
Thought provocateur. Thank you so much. He says the theory that Russia could have done this doesn't hold at all. Sorry, especially when Russia is winning and there was fatigue setting in the West.
No, well, uh, that's your opinion. Russia is winning is fine, but I again will try and explain this to you. Russia wants to win this war, the Ukraine war, without putting most of its forces into battle because it fears a greater war erupting. And as far as Ukraine is concerned, it wants to conserve maximum force and achieve its goal at the fastest. Now, Russia is winning fine, but is it able to commit all its forces? No, it is not, and it will never. Fatigue is setting in the West. It is setting in the West, but the war will be prolonged if Russia doesn't end it fast, and it wants to end the war fast. That's all that I would like to say. While conserving its forces, I mean, it needs to conserve its forces.
I was just about to add that. He wants to hold on to a certain amount of power.
Yeah, I mean, if today if Russia decides to take over Ukraine, it's not very difficult. Trust you me.
Yeah.
Like what it's doing in Avdiivka and all that today, the offensive. I mean, it's put in a major offensive. It's lost a lot of material, men and material. A lot of casualties have taken place. So the more number of troops that you'll put in, more casualties will take place, and more you will gain. So while you want to do it, you can do it, but you want to do it with the least cost to yourself.
Somewhere down the line, sir, I really feel that the Russians are going to have a failsafe for this. What will be the failsafe? Sacrifice China. It's a
Yeah,
nasty
let's.
feeling I have, but I don't know. They'll just
No, to say that Russia and China are damn good friends even today. No, I'm so sorry, they're not. It's just a relationship. It's a mutual kind of hand holding. That I'm there with you in case something goes well. Otherwise, you are on your own. But if you need me, I may come to your rescue. That situation.
Kunal, he says, Jansa, some reports say that Iran is very close to nuclear weapons. North Korea, through Russia, has played a big part in it. Israel may strike Iran with support of the US. True or too far fetched?
This is exactly what I'm saying. It's not far fetched at all, and this is exactly what I've been saying.
A comment on the nukes, sir.
Yeah, they've got the nuclear weapons. I mean, why? Okay, now all the nuclear facilities are subject to
I
inspection. Yeah, IAEA inspections. Now I list out 20. I give you a list of 20. I have 20 nuclear establishments. So please come and inspect. So you come and inspect those 20 nuclear establishments. Fine, but I have the 21st one, which I do not declare. What will you do about it? That's what is happening. And North Korea has played a major part. Yes, of course it has. And that is why the red quad I'm talking about, just coined this word today while talking, is a red quad. And they are helping each other. China helps North Korea, North Korea helps Iran, Iran helps North Korea helps Pakistan. All that stuff happens. And yeah, and the nuclear weapons is the one, that fear of nuclear weapons is the one which has kept the Americans out of it as of now. Non-declared nuclear weapons, and the threat of it is the one which has deterred the United States from getting into Iran till date. But if the pressure so mounts that the government is kind of compelled, then things may be different. Yeah.
Okay, Full Metal Heart. Thank you so much. He says, sir, USA is sitting on huge oil in Alaska at its disposal. In Alaska at its disposal, budget of $800 billion for their. I think he's referring to the military. I think it's about $1 trillion now. It can pull all its army to a point, create a close call, and 40 million citizens hold weapons. Does this seem attackable to any country?
Nobody is going to attack United States. Nobody is going to attack United States. It is the United States which is going to attack. The only thing is, what you're just saying is right. A the the American North American continent is never going to get attacked. One, it if attacked, it will be attacked by these missiles which will be launched from China or from Russia. Uh, covering distance, which are capable of covering distances up to 10,000 kilometers, 5,000 kilometers, 8,000 kilometers. DF-21, DF-31, DF-41. These kind of missiles will be able to take on the United States, facilities. Now, I, I was there in US. I was in New York when 9/11 happened. The kind of panic which was caused. Now imagine a DF-31 or a 41 landing up on Manhattan. I'm just giving you a hypothetical situation. One loose DF Dongfeng 41 landing on Manhattan. You can do what you can have any amount of money you want. You can have any American. I'm just trying to give you a situation. So the war fighting technique is a totally different technique when it comes to China. When it comes to dealing with China, they're going to rain missiles on you, and they'll be sitting in from the east coast of China. They will fire all over the United States. So you can have all the trillion of money amounts that you can have. You can have all the amount of small arms that you can have. Uh, so dealing with China is a different ball game, and I hope people do understand that. And I hope the people here sitting in India also understand that, because many a times I'm a little skeptical on the way our thought process is.
Mohit says if Iran is next on the menu, wouldn't it give Pakistan breathing space for the next 10, 15 years since Pakistan's cell word is a cell word for the West and its best puppet?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, well,
Pakistan
that's
will try to Pakistan will try to make the best of it, but then the Shia Sunni divide within Pakistan is also very very strong. The Iran Pakistan border is also not a very uh,
mm,
there is a lot of tension between the Iranian border and the Pakistani border. It doesn't come to light, but minor skirmishes take place on a daily basis on that border. So yeah, Pakistan would like to make the best of it. The last country which will be taken on is Pakistan. Just remember this.
yeah, they're
So
not going to spare it.
after Iran is Pakistan.
Next on the menu. Sudhirji, thank you so much. Uh, Average middle class gamer says Adi started reading Sanuki, really liking it.
Yeah, yeah.
RKG says, can we not start thinking about surprising our enemies, taking lessons from the present episode rather than keep worrying about getting surprised by them?
I love this what you've just said, RK. And unfortunately, India has never waged a war against any country. So if if we were to do what you were just suggesting, definitely. But for that, now what happens? Now, let me just put you a little wise on this. What's your focus as a country? What is your focus? As a country, your focus is that you want to grow economically. You want to have people, you want to raise the standard of living of your own countrymen, of your citizens. So if you are a sensible nation, and I'm talking not in Indian terms but in general terms, you will secure your borders with a very very strong military, so that nobody messes around with you.
Mm.
And while keeping your borders safe, you will continue to grow economically, right? Now if you have to keep your borders safe, you have to spend a huge amount of money out of what you have earned towards your safety, to securing your borders for your national security. If you are secure at the borders, uh, you and I, my friend, are going to be sleeping sound, having a sound sleep. We are going to rise, and this is precisely is what the Indian government is looking at. So if you create a war, what happens is you go down economically by a couple of years. Your growth rate will decrease. So try and think the other way, from the other aspect. War is never a preferred option. What is happening in Pakistan? Pakistan is collapsing on its own. Why do we have to go in? That's the way it is. You have already have demonstrations in occupied Kashmir where people are saying we want to be with India. So sooner or later, when I say sooner or later, I'm talking about not in the immediate future, but definitely in the future, you will have POK on its own coming back to India, wanting to be back with India, the entire of POK, because the conditions in Pakistan are so pathetic that they are going down the drain. So
So
war is not a good option. Maintaining a
never.
huge army, maintaining a good army, maintaining a sophisticated army, maintaining a powerful army is a must if you want to grow economically and if you want your citizens to prosper.
KSV Prasadji, thank you so much. What will be the response of Bharat if we are confronted with same atmosphere that Israel is facing? How fast to finish our opponents? As the time prolongs, intermediary players do come into action.
Yeah, don't worry, we'll be able to. Yeah, but what has happened here is that whatever one thought of Israel, that the warfare, as I said, the warfare art of warfare is going through a metamorphosis. What today we thought was impregnable is not impregnable. The Iron Dome was supposed to be most impregnable, most effective air defense system available in the world, and that got penetrated. So what will be our situation if such a thing happens? Yes, we will retaliate, and we will retaliate very well. Trust you me. Nobody dares mess with India, because the you'll be surprised if you today on the border, right from whether it is Gujarat right up to Siachen, along, soldiers are awake as of today. If you go to the Rajasthan border, there's a soldier at every 50 meters. Not funny. You go to Punjab border, there's a soldier, BSF soldier at 50 meters, awake right now while you and I are talking. There's an alarm system in place. There are people looking through handheld thermal imaging devices. The satellite is up there looking at what's happening. So you're pretty safe, and the response will be quite quick and quite effective.
So I'll take 10 minutes more from you, sir. There's some few interesting questions left. Pre-Rush, thank you so much. He says USA is gearing up by letting in migrants to eventually put them into the forces. USA missile defense is ready for any attack from either oceans.
Yeah, that's what has happened. What they're doing is what is Russia doing? I mean, why are United States? Russia is also doing the same thing. You want citizenship, you join the armed forces. They don't want to get killed themselves. They want you to get killed. So they need cannon fodder, and cannon fodder is easily available. In they're luring all this with green card. And if you volunteer to join the armed forces today, you can get a green card in any case. Go and fight and die. So, and as far as defending itself from all across the oceans, I'm again reiterating the battlefield scenario is changing. War is the the air defense systems have to be highly effective. But how effective will they be over when 5,000 rockets fall in you? Out of 5,000, maybe 10%, 20% maybe countered. But what about the rest? So it's changing. People have learned a lot from the Ukraine war. Yeah,
But Batraji asks, is in the speed of change too fast to adjust or decipher and prepare?
you bet. Did we 2 weeks back? Last week I wasn't around, and had I been around, still one would not have been able to talk Israel and Hamas. So the speed of change is absolutely, absolutely fast. Things are happening at such a fast pace. Every day there is a new development, and becoming more and more complicated and getting difficult to decipher. Yeah, I agree with your statement. Absolutely.
JPJP says, will the world agree on a no Hamas Gaza? Possible?
Not only possible, they'll make it possible. So Israelis, if you know the Israelis, they'll finish off each manjack Hamas there, and they'll raise it to rubble, and they won't really be bothered at.
Gurjot says, we've never heard about Indian soldiers joining high paying mercenary groups like Wagner or Blackwater. Is it because of the law or the mindset of the Indian military?
It's the mindset. There's nothing in the law. There's nothing in the law. It's the mindset of the Indian soldier. You guys got to be very happy with the fact that you got soldiers who are extremely, extremely loyal to the country, barring very few cases where they get honey trapped in espionage cases and stuff. But our mindset, our soldiers are. I mean, our soldiers are great guy, man. They don't run after money. There's nothing money being chased. We're serving our country. And when you trust me, when you're in the thick of combat or thick of an operation, a military operation where live bullets are being fired, nobody's thinking about his own life at that particular moment. And if I'm an officer, I'm thinking about the safety of my men and of accomplishment of my task. So this is something which is ingrained to us from the very beginning, and that is where I'm a little skeptical of these agniveers and stuff, frankly, because it takes many many years uh, to get a soldier. Or, soldiering is an art which is very very difficult to kind of master, and once you have, it stays with you for life.
Manjri ji, thank you so much. She says, can Mossad really goof up so badly or was it deliberative? If so, then why? Did they miscalculate the Hamas?
No, well, it would never be deliberate. They goofed up. Definitely, they goofed up. No, I'll tell you why they goofed up was their entire effort was towards the West Bank, and the Israelis had also moved a lot of because a trust had been built. You know, it is the Israelis I think gave the Palestinians on in the Gaza Strip much more uh, than perhaps they deserved to be, and they trusted them a bit more. So they had moved a lot of forces from this particular side towards the West Bank. So the soldiers had already been moved. Normally, under normal circumstances, the whenever there is a fence, the fence is manned. It's not that the India Pakistan also has a fence, but as I just said, there's every 50 meters you have a soldier awake at the moment also with night vision goggles. The wire is electrified wire. People are looking through night visions, thermal imaging devices. Everything is in place. So while all this was existing along this particular area. They had shifted the troops towards the Gaza, not from Gaza to the West Bank. Two, they miscalculated, like they miscalculated 19 what is it, 73 Yom Kippur. So they miscalculated that time with the Egyptians, because the Egyptians would come and do the drill every day, and they thought that they, it's routine. This particular action also, what they did, while the Egyptians had apparently warned the Israelis took it lightly. So this is no doubt an intelligence failure, no doubt an intelligence failure. And this is what happens when complacency sets in. So I would say complacency sets in. They paid a price for it.
Most important, sir. Sudhishji, thank you so much. Harshal, thank you so much. Sorry, here. Harshal, he says, hello, Major Jan. Just wondering if these global events happening are just mere coincidence, or someone in the Western countries deliberately tried to create these events to get away from the Ukraine war.
Yeah, we kind of partially discussed this. More of a distraction. They're you know, मौके का फायदा उठाना, if I may just
मौके
put it this way.
मौके पे चौका.
Yeah, मौके का फायदा उठाना, trying to make while the situations are such, and creating problems to divert attention. Now, who's behind this is the main thing.
Anybody? Hmm. Rajesh ji says, looks like the Israeli offensive is not going to last long. There will be implications worldwide on the radicals. Your comment, sir.
Good question. It will last. Uh, there has always been a sequence. I mean, this is not the first time this has happened, and I was going through it. So they have a very, very set kind of a sequence which takes place all the while. Initially, there are provocations, then Hamas does a rocket attack, then Israel does airstrikes, then Egypt comes in and mediates, and then there is some quiet time. So this is a kind of a cyclic kind of a thing which happens. So it has been happening, I think 2005, 2012, 2014, 2019. So all these things have been happening over a period of time, and of course the scale of what has happened this time is much, much larger than what has been happening earlier. So will it last long? Till such time the hostages are there, that will continue.
It will
Let me just
continue.
put it will continue.
Absolutely.
If the hostages are freed and they return and there is a ceasefire, then it won't last long. If the hostages are not returned, it will continue. And what have they done? They've seized. They've had a total blockade of the Gaza Strip. No electricity, no water, no food going in. They'll starve them to death. Period. They'll bombard them day in day out. Uh, they'll not let them get out on the seaside, nor will they let them come this way. No oil, no food, no electricity. What do you do? And that, you don't have to use force to that extent. Yeah.
Okay. Mandar, he says, Jain sir, a query whether Israel Hamas war, or I hope that you're trying to say that, or the information war benefit Russia. By the way, Adani shares seeing a downfall due to war Haifa effect. Your view?
Yeah, this is going to benefit Russia absolutely, and this is what. How will it benefit Russia? Simple terms: the diversion of resources. Now, what was supposed to, for example, if there was ammunition which was supposed to come from the United States to Ukraine, that is going to get diverted towards Israel. Israel has also been, is wanting air defense. It has wanted artillery. It has wanted arty shells. So that's the demand the Israelis have played on the Americans. The same demand has been placed by Zelensky uh, because he also requires the same amount. So this kind of diversion has taken place. The 24 billion is not going to get approved for Ukraine. That aid of late, only 200 million have been promised yesterday, and a few ammunition, whatever, will be supplied, but there's a short supply. So this
So,
diversion has taken place, which is in the long run going to benefit Russia. So Russia has benefited. What is the second part, please?
just
Can you
give
show
me
the
a
question
second.
again?
Yeah, give me a second, sir. I need to go back and find it. I started and keep them because there's just so many comments.
Oh, yeah, no issues. So the other part, I think I just missed that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, he says, by the way, Adani shares seeing a
yeah,
downfall
Adani
during.
shares. Yeah, these kind of things. I'm so sorry. I'm not into. I don't follow this market, but I did. I I checked whether the market had fallen.
What does that?
Adani shares may have fallen, but overall the market did not fallen because of this. It's quite surprising, and it hasn't fallen worldwide. That's another great. Otherwise, the Nasdaq and all that, uh, Dow Jones and everything would have fallen. That I did not see the drastic fall which would have ideally
So
happened.
the global deep state wants the war, huh?
Yeah, so it's benefit. I mean, I was quite surprised. I thought actually I deliberately searched today to check whether the market has fallen and how badly it has it fallen, and I found it hadn't fallen at all. I mean, on the contrary, Indian market was 790 Nifty is what 1997 or 793 or something like that.
That's okay.
Yeah.
Last two, sir. Anukul, thank you so much. He says, General sir, it's an honor to hear from you. Do you think MIC is getting ready for the current geopolitical situation? Is ready for the current geopolitical situation? Two of our major suppliers are now in the conflict. How do you think our military reforms affect?
Yeah, we are quite a good question, Anukul. We are, we've been at it for the last couple of years. Our military industrial complex, we've got, I think, the fourth negative list wherein import is banned. There's a list which says that these are items which will not be imported. So, and the list is growing every 6 months. It gets reviewed, and the list is being added. So, why it is that Atmanirbharta part of it? So, our military industrial complex, not because of the war per se or the geopolitical situation per se, but due to our government policies from becoming an from an import oriented military industrial complex, we want to be an export oriented military industrial complex. So to that effect, a lot of energy of the government has been diverted towards this, right? So whether our suppliers are in conflict, fine, but we have worked out alternatives. Certain things, yes, may have got affected, but by and large, we are gearing up. And this changing geopolitical situation has given a further impetus to our military industrial complex that we need to be self reliant, we need to be Atmanirbhar. And that's the good thing if you really look at it. Yeah.
Last one, Full Metal Heart. He says, somehow I feel soon Dawood Ibrahim is going to be taken out in some internal deal between Pakistan and India due to Nawaz Sharif's return. Your opinion?
Ibrahim
Long
Dawood.
term.
Yeah, I mean, uh, sooner or later, someday he will be taken out. And
Guys are getting hooked, so fair
yeah,
enough.
every day a guy is getting knocked off. I mean, unnamed, unidentified assailants.
And
But
weird positions that too. It's so funny. कहाँ कहाँ पे वो बेचारा नमाज पढ़ने के लिए नीचे उठता है, he
no,
never gets up.
I'll
Goes
tell you
up to
what's
the wall.
I'll tell you what's happening. The condition in Pakistan today is such. There's so much of lawlessness and there is so much of uh, confusion within Pakistan that it's they can't handle it. So neither can the military handle it, nor the police effective, nor is the military effective. So they are in such a bind that people, they can't provide security to the common man. So the animosity part of it is ruling the roost, since people are get knocking off so and so, someday somebody else is getting knocked off. So uh, I wouldn't be surprised if our friend Ibrahim Dawood. So I find it very strange. For so many years he's been able to survive. So I
I don't
guess
know
so
if
it's high time he
been
goes.
he's been able to survive. Is he our asset or what? I don't know what the hell is
No,
happening.
there was this talk about it.
Yeah, yeah, I know.
Some there was some
I'm just
talk
kidding
about
around.
it.
I don't know anything about this, but
I don't know. I also don't anything know about it. I have no
just
clue
kidding
about
around.
this
Yeah.
guy.
Don't, don't make reels out of this thing and put it out, huh? कि वो two guys
There
on
was
left को talking कि भाई दाऊद इब्राहिम है हमारा है.
oh, this guy.
Both of us
I
will
have
be
no,
tomorrow morning.
but all you know, I mean, God knows where these guys are.
Shit happens in this intelligence games, sir. So, and who
Yeah.
better to tell us about all this than you? But in any case, let's leave it at it as it is. And I think I I I I I'll take this last one. He says we salute unknown assailants and should make a memorial after them.
Absolutely. Thank you. At least somebody is doing a good job.
Yeah. M, thank you so much. Deep State, right? I've done lots of videos on the Deep State. If you just type Deep State on my playlist, you'll be able to find it. Thanks so much, sir. Thank you so much for the time. This has been a wonderful episode, actually. I really enjoyed it because we spoke about true geopolitics, and that's what is playing out in front of us. I think, uh, each day is a more interesting day, and I hope days are kept more interesting with less loss of life. That's all I would say.
Yeah,
It's
that's the thing. Less loss of life. I mean, it's sad to see children, lady, women. Yeah.
it's just Thank you so much, guys, for joining in. See you tomorrow night on a different subject. Till then, sir, thank you so much and Jai Hind.
Bye. Thank you, Adi. Thank you, viewers. Thank you very much.